Welcome to the SousVide Dash Quick Start Guide. What we see here is the initial screen that appears when we first run the application. In this area we can choose the type of food we want to cook and its shape and dimension. For example, the default is beef, although as you can see there are a variety of other options here. We'll go ahead and stick with beef, but instead of a steak we're actually going to sous vide a tenderloin. So we need to change the shape. The shape of a tenderloin is a cylinder, and we're going to measure its circumference. We can do that pretty easily by wrapping a piece of string around the tenderloin and measuring the length of string required to get completely around it. Let's say we've done that, and in our case the string is, let's say, 163 millimeters. So I'll choose 163, save that setting. And the app has now done a complete mathematical simulation and computed that I'm going to need about 2 hours and 4 minutes to cook this particular tenderloin. Now the way I'm cooking it is I'm going to cook it to pasteurize on the surface. If I want to be a little more cautious with my meat, I can pasteurize it all the way to the core. I save that, the simulation runs again, and as you can see it's going to take a little longer to cook. What we have down in this graph area is an illustration of what's actually going to happen during the cooking process. This gray line is the surface temperature, this black line is the core temperature, and over the course of time those temperatures are going to go up. You can see the surface temperature goes much more rapidly up to approximately the water temperature. We're using a default medium rare cooking temperature, and therefore our water is 1 degree warmer than that. We reach that temperature at the surface quite quickly. It takes a little longer to reach that temperature at the core because the heat has to make its way into the center of the meat. And then once they've reached it, they stay there for the duration of our cooking time. These other curves here represent the destruction of pathogens. The dotted lines at the surface, the solid lines at the core. The higher these lines go, the more pathogens we have destroyed because of the temperature. This is actually on a log scale, so what that means is each time we go up here we've added another 0. So when we get to 6, what that means is if we started with 1,000,000 pathogens, all but one of them has been killed. At 7, if we started with 10 million, all but one of them has been killed. And you can see we achieve certain levels on the dotted lines on the surface sooner than we achieve them at the core, which are these solid lines. And that makes sense. The surface gets hotter quicker, and therefore the destruction of pathogens happens more rapidly. We can see more details of exactly what these pathogens are and the levels we're reaching by looking over here, and we can scroll through them. For example, for E. coli, our target goal is a log reduction of 5, meaning 100,000 to 1. We reach that at the surface in 2 hours 4 minutes, at the core not until 2 hours 47 minutes. And that's illustrated by this red curve here. You can see it achieves a value of 5 after 2 hours and 47 minutes, and that's actually the final cooking time. Some of the other bacteria, Listeria actually, we're going for 1,000,000 to 1, but it's easier to kill, and we actually reach that at the surface in 1 hour and 40 minutes, at the core in 2 hours and 22 minutes. That Listeria curve is the blue one here at the surface, the dotted one, and the blue solid one here at the core. So we can drop our food into the sous vide bath set at 55.4 degrees Celsius, click the start timer, and as you can see, the time begins to tick down as we cook. We can close the app and go do something else. The timer will continue to run in the background, and it will signal an alarm to alert us when the meat is ready. Because it's sous vide, it doesn't matter that much if we take it out precisely then. We could let it run a little longer if we want to. As you can see, there are other customizations, but we're not going to get into those in this video. Since it's a quick start, we've just shown you the basics of what this app can do. Additional videos will get into some more details of how we can customize it and do a whole bunch of other things. Thanks very much, and hope you enjoy using the application.